Welcome to Divisive Issues, a comic book podcast where we talk about comic books that are usually not great. Right, guys?
Like the one we're doing today.
Like the one we're doing today. What are we doing today?
Batman Cacophony.
By Kevin Smith and Walt Flanagan.
More like Batman Cock Fanny. Am I right?
They wrote the book, but who are we?
Wait, what?
We didn't introduce ourselves.
I'm Ryan Lynch.
I'm Psychopathy.
And I'm Phil Maverickus.
And we're Divisive Issues, a comic book podcast. So, we're doing Kevin Smith's Batman book, a dream book for him.
His first Batman book. We will do a second one later on.
Probably next week.
Yes.
So you said this was a dream book for him?
Yeah. If you don't know Kevin Smith, he's that guy from Comic Book Men. He made Clerks and Dogma and Chasing Amy. He also wrote Guardian Devil in a previous episode we did.
Which Ryan considered the worst comic he ever read.
Not the worst. The one I hate the most.
And this book is worse.
Yeah, I hate this book a lot more, so I stand corrected.
Yeah.
But if you don't know Kevin Smith, one thing to know is he's a huge Batman fan. He has a Batman podcast called Fat Man on Batman.
His daughter is named Harley Quinn.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I looked that up after.
Yeah, he loves Batman. And I've actually listened to his podcast a couple times, and I like him a lot as a personality, but most of the time his writing does not do it for me.
This book is he said it was a dream project, but really it's a nightmare for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we talked about Ryan and my experience with Kevin Smith and how we don't like even his movies. Phil, what's your experience with Kevin Smith?
Very limited.
I actually haven't seen any of his movies.
I haven't either. I think I saw Clerks my freshman year of college, but I barely remember it. I think I saw maybe half of it, and so I went into this knowing his name, but not actually having read or seen much of his work.
And you also were drunk while you saw it too, right?
Probably, yeah.
That's the best way to watch or read Kevin Smith.
Freshman year Phil is always drunk.
Yep.
So, in the intro that I mentioned before, Kevin Smith writes it, and he basically talks about the backstory of how this book came to be. And I do just want to make one point. So, he called the DC editor-in-chief of the time, Dan DiDio, and said, I want to write a Batman book, and I want my longtime friend Walt to draw it. And Walt is...
Comic book store owner?
Yeah, he introduced him to comic books, introduced Kevin Smith. So he was like, this is like a dream project for me. Like, it's so cool to work on this character that my friend helped me fall in love with. And his intro, I was like, this is a cool story.
Better than when he actually writes.
Yeah.
But like most of Kevin Smith's stuff, his interviews are actually pretty fun and engaging. His actual stories are shit.
Sly, they found you. Run!
So... the thing that I actually found really funny about the intro in retrospect was he basically apologizes for the nepotism, and he's like, I know it's kind of shitty that he only got this job because he was my friend, and he didn't have to send in a portfolio or anything, and he just got the job as artist because I wanted him to be artist because of my personal connection with him. And I promise he's great. And it's actually really funny because I thought the art was a lot better than the writing. And I felt like Kevin Smith is apologizing for the wrong thing here.
But
speaking of which, the art is better than the writing.
But that's like saying, I could draw better art than the writing.
Yeah.
This is it's a very low bar to jump over.
I don't like Phil hates the art more than I do, but I do find the faces get really awkward at times. It's not someone I would recommend read just for the art.
I guess maybe I was I set the bar really low because in the intro it sounded like he just got the job because Kevin Smith wanted him to, and not that he had any merits.
Yeah, he has some drawing skill.
When I opened it, I was like, this wouldn't really stand out to me as a guy that doesn't draw comics for a living. This looks like comic book art.
It does,
and I actually like it.
I don't want to say I don't hate the art here. I just think it's not the best, but it's for the book, it's the best part of it. So.
Yeah,
that's part of a shitty
that's for
book.
Sure.
Yeah.
So as we saw in the past couple episodes, Phil has really pointed out when nothing happens in a book. So Phil, what's this book about?
Well, let's see. It's about nothing. Nothing happens. This book has no point, and as I've said in the past, it's a pretty bad sign when a work of fiction has no plots, no plot summary. What is this book about? The Joker gets out of Arkham and then starts a gang war. And then it ends with nothing really mattering, just like everything else we've read so far. So I think, and I don't want to say that books without really moving plots are bad necessarily, because they can have other
But
aspects.
these are.
Well, you can have a book that doesn't have a big plot, but is a lot about the character interaction, character
Yeah,
development.
it could be a character piece and not necessarily like a grandiose epic. It could
Yeah.
just be
But
like
when we talk about a book being about nothing, I feel like when we're talking about something like that, I feel like we're talking about something that feels like you waste your time. Like there's nothing of value gained by reading it. Like not even character
Yeah.
insight or anything. And that's what we're really talking about, not just a lack of plot.
Right. So it is the whole package. There's no plot. There's no character insight. There's no message really gained from reading this. It's just a pile of trash.
But do you know what
Yeah.
bothers me? It acts like it has something to say,
It does.
It does.
especially at the end.
Yeah. We'll get into that.
Yes, we're getting to that.
So who would you recommend this to before we spoil it?
Target audience section.
I
I would recommend it to Kevin Smith fans, because if you like Kevin Smith, you probably have very low standards anyway, so might as well.
feel like if I hate this book, most people probably really have to hate this book because he uses a villain.
Kevin Smith fans watched a movie about the guy from the
Are you
Mac-
going to complain about Tusk again?
Yes, I am. He made a movie about a fucking Mac guy being turned into a walrus, so they'll watch anything. They'll read anything, Ryan.
Well, the thing is, like, I love Kevin Smith's Green Arrow run, and he takes a character from his run and puts it in this. And yeah, he's not a great character from his run. But, like, I thought, like, when he showed up, I was like, oh, is this going to, like, maybe touch on similar themes or be at all related to his Green Arrow run? And it super isn't. So I don't know who should read this book.
I don't think anyone should. I think if you want to read a shitty Batman story, but who wants to do that? Besides us?
We've talked about way more fun shitty Batman stories on this show.
Yeah, go read Batman Odyssey if you want to read a bit shitty Batman story.
If you're a sucker for anything that like talks about the Batman Joker relationship, then like this talks about it. It's a thing that talks about it.
Only at the end, but that's it. Like, if you love that, if you're like obsessed, if you ship Batman Joker, this book.
That's
okay.
one other thing that we're definitely going to get into when we go into this book. But this is also very sexual.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And one,
Well, like most Kevin Smith stuff, like
yeah.
he's got the mind of a 13-year-old. We talk about Mark Millar being the shithead edgelord. Kevin Smith is.
But so he talks a lot about like the sexual relationship between Batman and the Joker and how like the Joker's like a much more sexual being than other writers talk about. Other better writers have talked about that, but I'm going to save my point about that until our recommendations part.
Okay.
So, okay, who wants to start this fucking thing?
I guess I will.
Yes, please do.
So, story opens up with Arkham Asylum, and
Sly, your Uber's there.
I'm sorry, that one beat. Arkham Asylum, honk!
I'm sorry, fuck my window. I'm gonna close my
No,
window.
that's hilarious.
No, it's
so
good. It's good.
All right, so the story opens up with Arkham Asylum, and Deadshot, a Batman villain who is good at shooting people, is breaking into Arkham.
He's gonna be played by Will Smith in the Suicide Squad movie.
Yep.
It's important to note that the first 3-4 pages of this intro are just talk about the 2008 economic depression, and he lays it on so thick where he's like, the dirty CEOs took money from Arkham so they could pad their pockets. Security guards are living on unemployment, then that ran out. And now what do they have to do? They sell Arkham secrets because they're poor and trying to survive.
This is the kind of thing that works better when he writes Green Arrow, because Green Arrow is a really heavy-handed, over-the-top, liberal complainer, and that makes him fun. When it's just a narration box from a character we haven't been introduced to yet. Is it even a character? Or is it
No,
just
and the problem is, if this book was about economic inequality, yeah, that's a good intro. It has nothing to do with this story at all. It is completely unrelated. They just wanted to throw in, hey, 2008 depression was bad and CEOs suck.
It's trying to paint the world using this weird framing device, but it doesn't tie into anything at all. It's trying to paint Arkham as this dismal place, but you're doing it in a way that doesn't factor into anything else. So what's the point of it?
But no, it totally factors in because the Joker's reading Ayn Rand.
Oh yeah. And apparently Deadshot's a big fan of it, as he remarks when he breaks in, meets the Joker. And
do you guys know why he's reading Fountainhead?
No,
because he's evil. I guess.
Is that what Kevin Smith is saying? That like all Randian existentialists are evil?
Like the fact that the Joker's interested in it might signify that not just that he's evil, but
name one piece of dialogue or behavior that he demonstrates in this book that has anything to do with Randian's philosophy.
It would actually make more sense if Maxie Zeus was reading the Fountainhead, considering what his character is like later on.
Yeah. And really, he throws Joker throws away the Fountainhead, and that's basically Kevin Smith saying, "I'm done with that device."
No, but it comes back at the end.
Yeah, he finishes reading it later on.
What if Ayn Rand's estate actually like did product placement and paid Kevin Smith to put this in his book?
What if Kevin Smith just hates Ayn Rand after dealing with some Hollywood CEO giving him bullshit about it?
That's what I'm pretty sure happened. He just wanted to include a jab, so he's like, the Joker reads Ayn Rand, fuck you, and then just moves on.
I love this idea that just Kevin Smith is just petty from some rich guy.
Yeah, and that's what the intro's for, too. You cocksucker CEOs taking all the money, the workers are screwed. Guess what? All right, Batman time, and just ignores it.
But yeah, so Deathshot breaks into Arkham, meets the Joker, and it turns out that while Joker was in Arkham, Maxie Zeus, who is a lame, campy villain that
he was big in the cartoon.
Yeah, he sucked in the cartoon too. He just sucks in general.
Wait, you missed the fact that he didn't get broken out by Deadshot. He gets broken out by the other villain of the story.
I know,
but Deadshot exposition dumps this first.
Yeah, he exposition dumps that Maxie Zeus stole the Joker's.
Okay, he took Joker gas, Joker Venom, and turned it into he diluted it so it doesn't kill people anymore. It just gets them really high. And
he calls it Chuckles.
And he calls it Chuckles. And it does actually kill you, but not like at the rate that Joker Venom does. It's like a regular drug that will kill you if you do too much of it. And it killed some kid, and the parents hired Deadshot to go kill Joker instead of Maxie Zeus.
Which makes no sense. And why would Deadshot explain this to Joker before he kills him?
He also throws shade at him because he's like, you know, you're an idiot, and he made a fortune off of your thing, and all you ever want to do is just like fight Batman, and why don't you make money off of your invention? Like, ingenuity breeds success, and like I don't know.
Weren't so you much reading Ayn Rand, Joker?
You were just reading Ayn Rand. Don't you understand?
But what's interesting too is that, can you imagine a kid like overdoses on cocaine or heroin, and the parents are like, instead of being like, we have to fix this drug problem in our county, they're like, I want you to go to the cartel and kill all of them. Like, you hire someone.
I want you to go kill the head of Bayer. This is basically saying I want to kill the head of Bayer because Bayer sold heroin at one point.
This is different though, because if you had a drug that was called like, oh, I don't know, like Ayn Rand drug, and like you would be mad at her if someone died on it. Like, this is Joker Venom. He made this thing personally.
Deadshot knows what the parents think is wrong. He knows that's not a Joker that calls, this is Maxie Zeus, but he's still going to take the...
there is no true right. The market decides what's right.
That's true.
And he is being paid to do this line.
Wow, this book has way more meaning than I realized.
There's a lot more Ayn Rand in this first, like, 4 pages than I thought.
But yeah, so Deadshot wants to kill the Joker. But Joker doesn't give a shit about Deadshot. He's just pissed that his drug's being used for getting high. And he says, Joker's venom is supposed to be fear, not something to be rocked at a kegger, as he says.
I actually like this concept of someone, like, kind of taking some, like, horrible thing and giving a use for it that, like, is actually, like, people are paying for it and people want it. And, like, I find that, like, an interesting idea of taking, like, a supervillain who makes gas and turning it into a cosmetic drug. Arrow actually does something very similar with a drug called Vertigo that I think that's a cool idea.
And the Iron Man comics actually did something similar with the Extremists, the thing in Iron Man 3 that gave everyone superpowers. It's a kind of recurring idea to take this villain concept and turn it into something that can be mass marketed.
It's a very Randian thing to do.
But yeah, so now Deadshot wants to kill the Joker, but he gets stopped by Onomatopoeia.
He is the villain. He is a villain from Kevin Smith's Green Arrow run.
So he's not just from this.
He's not just from this.
This is his follow up to his Kevin Smith appearance, his Kevin Smith Green Arrow appearance.
And as someone who really likes Kevin Smith's Green Arrow, Onomatopoeia is like a non-character, and I don't think he's like. I just like the story he's in, not because of him, but in spite of him.
Explain what the Onomatopoeia is. Like, why is this character so fucking great?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Well, like, what is he literally? What is his character?
His gimmick.
his gimmick is that he likes to kill heroes, and the only thing he ever says is sound effects, like onomatopoeia.
Like when he shoots somebody, he says blam. When he cuts somebody's throat, he says like he makes.
Yeah, and it's always. I actually find this as a cool visual thing, even though the character's stupid. The stuff he says is always the sound effect from the panel. So, like, Deadshot shoots him, and it goes blam, 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 like, in text on the panel as a sound effect, and he also says it. So every time he says something, it is an actual sound effect happening.
But it's so weird, because some of them are not blam, like, whoosh, and, like, from, I guess, the swishing in the wind, and he goes, whoosh. like
it's arbitrary what is worthy of being repeated and what isn't. It's arbitrary like how it's repeated. Like it's something that only works in a campy kind of mentality. Yeah. But it's about a serial killer. Like I'm a serial killer. You can use this campy gimmick.
That's the thing that I find funny is I guess I've just read so many comics that I don't register like cognitively sound effects anymore. Like the whoosh, I don't recognize. Like my brain doesn't recognize it's a whoosh. I just read it, and my brain automatically interprets like, oh, it's some sort of swish thing, and then I move past.
Right.
And I don't and a lot of times I will miss weird sound effects. Like I'll like register what it's representing, but I don't recognize like that said kersplat, and that's funny.
Yeah.
Until someone points it out to me, and I find it funny. Like when I read it, he says like swoosh, and I never would have recognized that that's an out of place stupid sound effect until he says it, and then I go back and I'm like, yeah, why is that there?
Yeah.
So instead of it being like a campy gimmick, it takes me so out of the book and just makes me realize how stupid comics are sometimes.
There's only one way this could have worked. Like if it was like a campy villain, like the Calendar Man or something like that. Like the fact that it's a serial killer.
They disparage in the sequel, and they're like, Calendar Man's a bunch of shit. Calendar Man's great. Fuck
Calendar Man's better than fucking Onomatopoeia. Like,
yeah,
Calendar Man.
He's a guy who fucking bases his crimes based on the calendar, literally.
Read Long Halloween. He's like a Hannibal Lecter character, and it's awesome.
Yeah, he's fucking awesome in that story. But I do want to read Kevin Smith's quote on Onomatopoeia and why he'll never work in film. He said, "When I did Green Arrow, I went with Onomatopoeia for a villain. Just because I love that word, and it's kind of formed the character as he would say things out loud, and it only kind of works, I think, on a comic book page, because you have a gun going off, you usually write blam, and then you could have, the character saying blam in the word balloon. But, like, if you try to do that cinematically, you can't really rock it. A gun in the film sounds completely different. It doesn't read as blam, and so have a dude say blam after a true gunshot, all the people will think he's just retarded. And I'm like, yeah, only in movies will people say, that guy's retarded. The guy was saying blam after shooting a gun.
I would really love if in Arrow they had onomatopoeia, but he was like the guy from Police Academy.
Yeah.
So he perfectly represent, like someone would shoot and he'd open his mouth and it would make a gunshot sound.
See, that would be good.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Make that happen, Kevin Smith. Make this character work.
He's trying here and
he's failing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just shows up, says nothing besides blam, thud, whoosh, things like this, and fights Deadshot over Joker.
Okay, and this is nonsense. Deadshot's whole shtick is he's like the Hawkeye of the DC universe, but evil. Like he never misses ever. Yeah. And he gets
Onomatopoeia is also Mary Sue. Like he's Kevin Smith's like ultimate badass villain, by the way. Like he's an expert hand to hand, expert gunman, expert everything.
Yeah, and he is like in a close quarters gunfight with Deadshot, and he wins and shoots Deadshot in the head. And it's all bloody and it says blam, and like how could he like I know like I laughed when Joe was mad that Eminem beat the Punisher. But like this is
the exact same thing because Eminem obviously can beat the Punisher, and obviously Onomatopoeia can beat Deadshot, right?
I guess.
What and I'm just thinking about that quote you just read, Sly, how he's like, I like the word onomatopoeia, made it a villain. It's like...
That's the entire thought process. Basically.
Like, I like the word juxtaposition, so this character always just juxtaposes himself against the hero, and...
he's just always next to him.
Yeah, somehow, being an ironic...
I also feel like Kevin Smith likes to show off the words...
Wait. Can we pitch a juxtaposition villain?
I would love that.
So what is he always just like? I feel like he always has a big distraction like next to the bank, and then he's like, oh no, I'm just juxtaposed next to the crime. You can't catch me, Batman. I'm not actually committing a crime.
That would be that would be as dumb as a guy whose name is Onomatopoeia who just says blam blam.
Almost as dumb, but not quite as dumb.
Okay.
But I do want to point out that Kevin Smith seems to be loving his own vocabulary because, like, he calls this book Cacophony for no real reason. Like, he just likes to use big words.
It's because it's nonsense. It's dissonant noise for 3 issues.
Okay, you got me there.
No, he says why it's called Cacophony in the intro.
What does he say?
Okay.
How does he justify this shit, Ryan?
Okay, let me just read this. Actually, I'm going to save this for when we do the sequel, because he mentions the sequel, which hadn't been written yet at the time. I'm going to save that.
He's going to say it's going to be so great. Look forward to my great sequel, which will make this book look like shit into comparison.
Yes. He compares himself to Quentin Tarantino in Kill Bill.
Oh. My sweet
I'm
summer
saving
child.
it. I'm saving it for the sequel, so you guys have to listen next week. Deal with it.
I'll tease it for next week, guys.
I'm not going to listen next week.
I'm going to shove my headphones and just fucking...
I'm going to talk, and if you guys are talking over me, too bad.
Yeah. If you guys talk over me, it's every other episode of the show.
But yeah, so Onomatopoeia kills Deadshot, and so then Joker is like, "Oh, thank you for saving me. I guess you want a reward." And he sticks out his butt and gets ready for a butt pounding.
No, he says, you must be a clown fetishist. So fine. And he just takes his butt out. And
Well, because Onomatopoeia hands him a briefcase full of cash, and he says, "Oh, okay, this is for sex."
Yeah, I'm a prostitute now.
Yeah, I guess. And he also calls him Harpo, which is actually a reference I like, because he's Harpo Marx. He's not talking anything. But it's just, this is the first really sexual Joker thing. And, like, he says, like, if you want to fuck me, you have to fuck me. I'm only bottoms.
Yeah. I bought it from the top, he says.
Yeah, but he takes his like weird like onesie pajama thing.
And in that face, he has like the Miley Cyrus face.
More like Gene Simmons' face, honestly.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and then he complains that he's like, "Oh, you're giving me blue balls or whatever. I feel so dirty." And he's just like bent over next to a tree, and Onomatopoeia just leaves.
Yeah. Imagine if that scene went a different way and Onomatopoeia just fucked him in the ass.
Oh, that would be awesome. Especially because right before he leaves, Onomatopoeia goes, "Shh."
Imagine Onomatopoeia having sex and be like, "Shlick, shlick," like making the sound effects as he's doing it.
Maybe he does. How do you know?
So, speaking of awkwardly sexual, smash cut to Mr. Zsasz, a serial killer villain, totally naked, looking over a family in bed wearing hip sunglasses.
Yeah,
the dead family, not
husband
Mr.
and
Zsasz.
wife wearing sunglasses in bed, covered in blood.
Yeah. So Mr. Zsasz is a character that he's just a serial killer. He's just an asshole. And like, if you played any of the Arkham games, he's the one who calls you on the payphone and is like, "I'm about to kill somebody. You got 8 minutes."
He kills people. He does tally marks on his skin. By the way,
he does tally marks on his body. But as far as I know, he's never really been played as someone who's like obviously he's a psychopath and he's sick, but he's never been played as someone who like doesn't want to kill but has to. And in this, he's played as like a totally far gone crazy person. Which the thing that I like about Mr. Zsasz is that he's like so aware of what he's doing and he's an asshole. And this, he's just like not that at all, and he like has to make them wear sunglasses so he can't see their eyes or something, which is totally unlike his character at all. But he doesn't really show up after this, so I don't think it really matters too much.
Now that you mention it, I didn't even think about it as I was reading it, but now that you mention it, this seems like a blatant ripoff of the first Hannibal Lecter story, Red Dragon, because the serial killer and dad goes and murders a family, and in that story he puts mirrors in their eyes to make it seem like they're looking at him as he's doing all his acts. Here he puts up sunglasses, so it's like the same exact idea. And like in Red Dragon, he's like, "Oh, I don't want to do this, but I have to. The dragon's compelling me to." So he seems like he took Zsasz and basically wrote Red Dragon.
Also, doesn't he mention like he's gonna fuck these people?
Yeah, like Red Dragon does that too.
Yeah, he mentions he's gonna fuck these dead bodies, which like Zsasz has never been a sexual villain.
Well, I mean, this is barely like a person in this. I don't know much about Zsasz, but here it's like this completely hairless, bald like gremlin with. No, really. Look at that next page where he's like, heh. He looks like a gremlin.
He's a goblin, basically.
Yeah, he does look a lot like Gollum.
Yeah.
Mixed with the art style, it reminds me of something out of that game Darkest Dungeon. If anyone's played that.
It actually does. Wow, Darkest Dungeon in general like kind of reminds me of Darkest Dungeon.
And in that game, it's all about like people being broken in this place where they go crazy and they hurt themselves on purpose when they go nuts. And like he was like right out of that.
Yeah. So Zsasz does tally marks on his skin like I mentioned before, but he's out of space on his body, so he's going to start tally marking his dick before the Batman interrupts him.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, and then Batman makes a Jewish joke.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't understand it at first, because he says, Batman says, I should let him do it. Instead, I crash Zaz's unholy bris. Baruch haba, scumbag. And like,
I didn't catch that.
I guess the joke was he was gonna cut his dick. It's like a circumcision joke. But how, I don't know.
He says this in his narration, too. Not out loud.
Yeah, in his mind, he's like, this serial killer just murdered a family and is about to cut his own dick. LOL Jews.
Yeah.
And do you know what's so weird, too? He sees this dead couple in bed. Obviously, they're, like, married. Like, they're an older, like, you know, they share a marital bed. And he's like, not just victims, people. And then he looks at them, at like a marriage photo of them, and he's like, just like my parents, children. And then he runs, and Zaz like has the kids hostage.
Well, yeah. So Batman takes out Zaz before he can kill the kids, and as the police come and pick up Zaz and the kids, the only reason the whole entire part of the scene was just so the police can tell Batman and the Joker escape Arkham.
Arthur,
yes, Arthur Christmas.
Yeah, so they say it's a code green. And that to me is like such a suspension of disbelief ruining kind of thing that it's one thing like we accept the Joker's going to break out a lot because people want to write stories with the Joker. But to have it be like, this is standard protocol all the times the Joker breaks out, I feel like really just points out how like stupid and unrealistic that is.
Yeah.
This whole story points out how stupid and realistic it is. Like that's the theme.
Yeah.
Is this theme to this book? It's that's the theme. Like how stupid and realistic it is that Joker's allowed to get away with so much in Gotham.
So yeah. So basically, Commissioner Gordon recaps what happened 8 pages ago. That Deadshot came in and was killed by some new player, and he's in the ambulance, and they're trying to get the costume out of him. And Batman goes in, and basically Deadshot faked his death by having like a blood splatter cap in his helmet.
Yeah, this is really weird.
If you watch
It's the
Batman
same
Odyssey,
thing from Batman Odyssey.
Yeah, like this idea that instead of not getting shot in the face, like avoiding a gunshot wound, I will put in squibs in my mask and the protective casing to make it look like I got shot in the head instead. Like instead of just avoiding getting shot in the head.
I think that's what I think. If you're like a hired assassin who's going after like super criminals, I think that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I think it does make sense that you want to, if you are going to get shot in the head, not only do you have protection, but they think you're dead so they don't finish you off. But it's also strange, like, I know it's comics, so it's like, yeah, the technology's different, but what kind of helmet can get shot in the head point blank and be okay?
I think he says it's second armor beneath the Kevlar faceplate. So he has a Kevlar faceplate and then like more armor, which makes me think that because his helmet is regular head size, he must have a tiny head.
Yeah, seriously. Not to mention, I mean, I don't want to be realism nitpicky with comics, so I'll just stop. But
I want to imagine like this in real life reenactment of this. I'm just imagining Deadshot with a huge bulky helmet saying, "Oh, this is my regular helmet, guys. Like nothing suspicious here."
Not to mention, even if you get shot with something bulletproof on and you survive, you normally have really bad internal bleeding and bruising there. He'll have a concussion, and like you still get fucked up when you get shot.
Oh yeah.
But whatever, it's comics.
But since it's comics, Deadshot's fine, and Batman knows he's still alive, and he makes him tell him. He makes Deadshot explain what we saw in the first few pages already, that Joker got free by onomatopoeia. So most of this issue is. Most of what happens to this issue is largely pointless, except for Joker breaking out of prison.
Yeah,
and so then Batman goes to go investigate. While we cut to Maxi Zeus, the guy who's selling the Joker's venom on the streets.
Yeah,
at Olympus,
his nightclub. Yeah. So basically, he's a character that would get in a toga and like pretend to be Zeus. Very reminiscent of like the Adam West show, where you had like villains like King Tut, where they would just like be these ridiculous goofballs.
Yeah. So he has a news interview with a reporter, and he explains like instead of just showing like a flashback or something to give us the idea that this guy was a cornball guy who dressed up as Zeus. Since it's Kevin Smith, he exposes this entire concept that I dressed up in this costume, and I was Maxi Zeus, and I was crazy. Like that's how Kevin Smith handles delivering this plot.
Yeah, he just says, I used to have mental illnesses, I've been battling it, Maxi Zeus is dead, but Maximilian Zeus is alive. That's me. Haha, I'm a businessman.
And the reporter's like, but we hear that this new drug on the street chuckles. It might be because of you. And he says, that's just because everyone's racist against Greek men.
Yeah, and then the book it just goes on to be racist against Greek men for the rest of it.
Joker calls him a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
You guys must have picked this story just to offend me, because you know what?
By the way, Phil is Greek.
Yes,
and
I
we
agree.
did this. And yes, you're right, Phil. We did. Fuck
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
But so we're at this interview, and he says, everyone's racist against Greeks. They're trying to hurt me, and then all of a sudden, someone comes in and says something in his ear, and then he speeds off. Where does he go?
Yeah.
He goes to the Maxi Zeus Parthenon School, which is a school he funded.
Yeah, to show that he is such a great guy now, he funded a public school where his nephew goes. And to show that he's not crazy, he also gave it a big Greek theme.
And he actually looks like the Parthenon. It's not like a name. Like, he actually has Greek columns and stuff.
Yeah, he drives from Olympus to Parthenon, which is actually a replica of the Parthenon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Joker's there holding everyone hostage. And the Joker just yells racist Greek things at him. He calls him a thieving, oily goat lover.
He calls him a souvlaki slurper, which was particularly offensive.
Jesus,
Were you triggered, Phil?
I was triggered. I wasn't, but it was interesting because I've never actually I've never read something where that was actually racist against me. So
Yeah, like, it's so weird because Maxie's just such a lame, obscure villain. I have to imagine Kevin Smith used him just to make this fucking joke.
Because there's no other reason why it has to be Maxi Zeus. It could be literally anybody.
Yeah.
He has no real stake in the plot besides I used to be a villain.
I have a gang war with Joker. Like, it could be anybody selling this drug.
Do you guys like how Joker's thugs that are with him are like these deformed creatures, like with giant lumpy heads?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Who are they? What is that, a human?
I don't know.
It's like Zaz looking like that weird golem thing. These are not human beings, I don't think. They're really deformed. And
They're like monsters.
Maxi Zeus comes in with his thugs. They point guns at the Joker's thugs, and then they're like, okay, let's chill, let's let the kids go, let's be racist against Greek men. Then they go outside, and they start talking about Chuckles and Batman.
And Maxi's basically like, we can have a criminal empire together, we could both be super rich. And Joker's like, I don't give a fuck, you can't use my shit. So it looks like we're in a war now. And what does he do to fuck with him?
Blow up his school with his nephew inside it.
Yeah.
And then Maxi says, get me my toga.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good point to mention how absolutely... this is what I was the most offended of. How he treats mental health. That there are times that someone will... I don't remember if it's in this one or the sequel, but someone will be like crazy, and Batman will run in and inject them with medicine, and they instantly become totally...
That's in this one. That's the next issue.
That's the next issue, yeah.
Yeah, so Maxi Zeus is like, I'm on medication, I'm fine. And he, doesn't take his medication. Obviously here, he says, get me my toga. So, spoilers, he's going to become a crazy Zeus guy again. But, all it takes is Batman having some magical... he's not a psychologist. He's not a psychiatrist. He has some magical drug that he just injects him and just cures his... bipolar disorder and his delusions of grandeur and all these things. And that makes me think that Batman has the cure for, all mental illnesses and is just an asshole about it.
And even if he doesn't have the cure, he has at least a temporary alleviation that's so effective, he could start every single...
Instantly.
It works, yeah, instantly.
He could start every single fight. Any fight Maxi Zeus, run up to him and inject him, and Maxi Zeus is no longer a threat.
Well, you know what it is? Wayne Tech has high stocks in the pharmaceutical company.
Oh, okay.
And Ayn Rand says that... the inventor is the one who can determine how it's used.
I want to change my target audience. If you are a fan of the Fountainhead, this is the spiritual successor. So just if you really like Ayn Rand, read Batman Cacophony.
Yeah.
So I like that so far in Superman Grounded, we knew that Superman can cure cancer whenever he wants, but doesn't. And Batman can cure all mental illnesses whenever he wants, but doesn't.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're the real villains of the DC Universe. Especially knowing that all of Batman's villains have mental disorders, and Batman just keeps them around for fun, I guess.
Are they real villains, Ryan, or are they just Randy and Superman?
Oh, they might be, yes.
So that ends issue 1.
Yeah.
Joker killing the kids.
Now,
and
we might seem like we're really going all like really detailed with this. The story's only 3 issues.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to be like a 4-hour episode.
Or it could be.
It probably will be.
The last 3 hours will just be me going, ah.
We're just gonna leave the mics on and go grab lunch. Actually,
I'm starving. But
Lunch at 6:30, Sly. You animal, you pig.
It's 7:00, idiot.
Shit.
Okay, so issue 2 opens up with also these covers are awesome. Adam Kubert, who did
Flashpoint.
Did he do Flashpoint or did his brother do Flashpoint?
Was it Adam or Andy? Well, I forget. That's a good question. Was it Adam or Andy? I think it was.
I don't remember. But either way, it's one of the Kuberts. Their styles are very similar.
Yeah, like the whole Kubert family is like I said, like they're very established. Like their dad owns a.
Yeah, and the covers are awesome. They're all like just reds with like black negative space, and like they're just really cool.
That's why one reason I didn't want to review this comic was because the covers made it look like a good book. Honestly, like it looked like something we didn't have to review.
Well, you know what they say: don't judge a book, right, Sly?
Yeah.
Also, the ads, I gotta say, have you seen this one? Have you spanked Shakespeare today? Spanking Shakespeare? Do you have that one?
I read it in trade. I didn't get ads.
Where's that?
It's at the end of the first issue. After Maxie Zeus says, "Get me my toga," Onomatopoeia says, "Vroom," and then it just says, "Have you spanked Shakespeare today?" And there's a kid wearing a Spanking Shakespeare shirt, and it just says, "One popularity challenge boy's journey to self-respect and finding a date."
Jeez.
I'm curious to hear on this website, spankingshakespeare.com.
Free advertising. They're paying us.
Our first episode sponsor, SpankingShakespeare.com. Thank you, guys.
And Squarespace. No, I'm just
We're not
kidding.
actually sponsored.
We're not actually sponsored by them.
But if they want to, we will take your money.
Build it beautiful. Okay, so issue 2 starts with a Maxie Zeus dance club. It's Olympus again. And there's DJ Batmite. We're not going to get into Batmite.
I had no idea what this was.
Batmite is a mystical imp from the 5th dimension that showed up in the 50s and trolled Batman a lot. And that's what he's referencing, I guess. He showed up in Grant Morrison's Batman run.
That's canon still?
Kind of. The 5th dimension is imagination, but that's besides the point.
Oh my god. I hate comics.
Batmite is wonderful in Grant Morrison's Batman. Everyone else can fuck off.
We will read it, and I'm guessing me and Phil will hate it, and Ryan will love it.
Batman R.I.P. is something that would be really interesting to do for an episode.
I guarantee Phil will probably hate it.
Yeah, I hated it the first 2 times I read it too, and now it's one of my favorite stories. But anyway, so it's not actually Batmite.
Also, everyone's doing chuckles, so they're all laughing and look like crazed demons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the DJ rips up his mask. And it's actually the Joker. He's Prometheus bringing fire from Olympus, and he burns everyone alive. I think that line's actually pretty clever.
It's too overdone. This whole Greek thing is so overdone, and I'm not just saying that
that's
for
true,
being
that's
Greek.
True.
It's just like every.
You have a stake in this argument, Phil. You can't talk about it.
I think Phil is just a fucking asshole who just subscribes to this PC culture that we live in today.
I'm triggered, and I can't take him talking about Olympus. That's my people.
That's
Ryan.
cultural reappropriation, bro.
But really, it's kind of overdone in this comic. But whatever.
Yeah. So Batman shows up, saves Maxie Zeus, and Joker beats him with a giant hammer.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting how all of Maxie Zeus's guards are just staring at the Joker as he just lights everyone on fire.
Yeah, the Joker doesn't have superpowers.
Like they all have guns. And he's just like, I'm lighting people on fire. What do you think? And they're just staring. And then they're on fire.
So after doesn't he kick Joker in the nuts?
Well, what's important to the rest of the story, actually, is that Batman, when he shows up, says, common sense screams at me. Let him burn. But I live and will likely one day die by a code.
So, like, of all the villains that Batman has to consider crossing the line and killing this far into his career, the first one that really pushes him is Maxie Zeus, who is currently a good guy.
Wearing a
At least as far as, like, people are concerned. I know he's selling drugs, but, you know.
Yeah.
He's just trying to make a living in this post-economic crisis. And who can really tell us what's immoral?
Yeah, it's true.
So anyway, Batman, after kicking Joker in the nuts, gets the upper hand and is like beating the shit out of him and about to win, and then Onomatopoeia shows up and
shoots Batman.
He shoots Batman and wins.
Yeah. He's just a fucking Mary Sue.
And this is Kevin Smith's wet dream right here. The Joker says, say it with me, supervillain team up.
Superpower. So he's teaming up with Onomatopoeia. Whatever.
They fight. Onomatopoeia is a super badass because Kevin Smith wrote him, and
It's so funny how he's a badass too. He shoots at Batman. Batman counts his bullets like a good Batman would, and he runs up to him when he has to reload, and he's like, "I got him now. I never expected a knife," and gets stabbed.
Yeah.
I planned for everything except a knife.
Yeah.
So Batman goes back to the Batcave and he looks up Onomatopoeia and looks up his history with Green Arrow, how he killed heroes.
Yeah, he killed a bunch of, made up characters, and he realizes that Onomatopoeia is hunting him. And then it cuts back to Maxie Zeus, who's now super crazy because he, missed his medication one day, and now he's, back to being I am the great gods, I am the god Zeus, everyone must listen.
So many corny lines here. How couldst thou allow this Greek tragedy to befall me?
To be fair, Maxie Zeus is a terrible villain, and this is very accurate to him. But to be unfair, why the fuck is Kevin Smith using a terrible villain?
Yeah, you can say, the villain's shitty, then don't put the shitty villain in your book.
He actually mentions this in the intro, that there's a lot of Batman characters that are only in this and the sequel story because Walt wanted to draw them.
I guess Walt's a fanboy, the only fanboy of Maxie Zeus.
Yeah, but he was like, you have to use Deadshot because I want to draw him. And, this is the only chance they're ever going to have to draw a Batman.
You could just draw him in your fucking spare time. And
that's why fucking Crazy Quilt is in it. Is he in this one or the sequel?
He's in the second one, Crazy Quilt.
That's why Crazy Quilt is in it.
Speaking of really shitty villains, Crazy Quilt.
We'll get to that next week. So, Maxie Zeus wants to sleep with all these virgins, and they're like, no, they're just prostitutes. And he's like, should I be in the form of a bull or a swan?
Basically, his men want to keep Zeus happy, so they hire prostitutes for him and say they're virgins, and they go do business stuff. And Zeus is crazy.
Yeah, it basically just emphasizes how crazy he is, because as they're trying to tell him real things, he's like, don't you mean Tartarus? Don't you mean I'm Zeus? And they're like, yeah, okay, Zeus, here's 4 prostitutes. And then they keep saying, we gotta get him back on his medication.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
which is apparently really easy to do because Batman shows up and just injects him with it.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Don't mind this massive dose.
There's not even a pause. He immediately is like, oh wow, I'm back to normal again.
He literally gets injected and says, "Oh my god, my nephew."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He literally was in some kind of trance as soon as the bomb went off, and that immediately brings him back to complete sanity.
Yeah, his nephew's name is Aesop, for what it's worth, because he can't everything. I guess, which also lends... So, is his brother or sister also, a crazy Greek-obsessed person?
Maybe it's a family thing. Maybe all Greeks are like this. Phil...
Are you named after Phil, Danny DeVito's character from the Hercules movie?
There are a lot of Greeks that still have names that kind of sound pretty crazy. There are Socrates still, and, Athena's. That's, a common name. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, Athena's one of the most common female names. So, it's not that weird, I guess. But I've never heard of a Zeus. But
well, that's his last name.
That's still a weird last name, but...
Well, how about you name Jesus, Phil?
What?
Jesus. I honestly think Jesus was Jesus.
Is that really what you honestly think, Sly?
When I was 10 years old, I had a kid named Jesus, and I didn't know how his name was spelled.
You had a kid?
A kid in my class called Jesus. And I thought, everyone was saying, "Hey, Zeus."
Wow, you were really
how long?
Smart kid.
Yeah, I was. I'm supposed to guess that his name is Jesus, but it's pronounced Jesus. Right, fuck you, Phil.
It is common
to
have...
your son. You should know what his name is.
And it makes sense. There are a lot of people named after gods and religious figures. So it's
there are a lot of people named after gods and greetings. Howdy, Allah. You know that name. Hey, Zeus.
But I was a dumb kid. Moving on.
You're still dumb.
Yeah. So the Joker is hanging out in some factory with a bunch of mannequins covered in feces. And he's complaining that he's not a supervillain anymore. He's an urban terrorist. And it's okay, I guess. Is that supposed to be more
PC?
It's not as cool.
I don't know.
Terrorism's not cool, but supervillain is.
Yeah. And he's mad now that Maxie Zeus has turned himself in, and the feds are making a big case out of it. And he's like, the feds? I'm stuck here. Oh, he's in Clayface's old safe. I thought it was shit everywhere because he calls someone a piece of poo.
I thought it was shit too.
I guess it's Clayface's body.
One point past Kevin Smith is afraid to be shit.
Yeah.
It's funny how Maxie Smith or Maxie Zeus
Maxie
turns himself in and the feds get involved and they're like, we're going to be moving him out of this city immediately. Like, that never happens to the Joker.
Oh, he apparently has Al-Qaeda contacts.
Oh, so he's going to get...
In the international drug trade. Does Al-Qaeda do international drugs?
They do. The opium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of poppy in Afghanistan and...
Hey, Poppy.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Zeus. So anyway, Joker kills all his weird-looking goons.
For no reason.
For no reason. And now...
Because he's edgy. Also, I'm up here because of prostitute.
Yeah.
You were right, he is an edgelord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this scene goes on for quite a while.
Yeah, the scene goes on for quite a while for when summary is basically just, I'm up here because of prostitute.
Not only is he such a fucking Mary Sue, this character, he's so good that the prostitute wants to keep having sex with him for free. Or for half off or something, but she's like, you're so gentle. I would do this for free. Like, I hate charging you, but it's a living. Like, she's a fucking Flintstones bird. And then she uses his mask as a hand towel, so he super murders her. Yeah. And he's still naked. Everyone's naked when they kill people. What's up with that?
It's just... It's edgy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... Batman realizes that Onomatopoeia is using the Joker as bait. And why does the Joker come to the bat signal?
Basically, Maxie Zeus is bait for a Joker. And the Joker is bait for Onomatopoeia. So they're playing like 5-dimensional chess.
Yeah, it's the they act like this is a really smart game where it's like, yeah, so like you said, Sly, Maxie's bait for the Joker, but the Joker knows going there. And he says, you know, like, I'm playing into this game to bring Batman here, and then Onomatopoeia will spring the trap. But like, if everyone knows what's going on, it's not clever anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why, like, how was Onomatopoeia a bigger threat than the Joker? What the story's trying to sell us.
Shot Batman.
Batman was winning the fight against Joker and then lost the fight to Onomatopoeia.
So that means Joker is, like, Joker has body count. Doesn't matter. It's all about Onomatopoeia, the fact that he can beat Batman once in his first fight.
Yeah, Sly, what's cooler? Homicidal maniac that's supposed to be the counterpart to our protagonist and is his reverse in every single way, or a guy that says "fawoosh" all the time?
Have you've seen the Derek comedy video where if guns didn't sound like they normally do, and all the guns are like "baba booey, baba booey," that's what Onomatopoeia reminds me of. Where you just run around going like "bing bing, baba booey, baba booey,
baba booey." But yeah, so Joker shows up with a parachute. Batman beats him up.
They have a classic fight where Joker pulls out the gun that's multiple panels long. He tries to squirt acid out of his, flower.
Yeah. And then Joker's like, who the hell would you even be without your greatest foe? And Batman's like, you're not my greatest foe. You're not even number 16. You're washed up. You're only my bait for Onomatopoeia. He's a really cool villain. You're just shitty. Kevin Smith's character is awesome.
I took this as Batman is just trolling Joker. But I think that's fair.
I'll believe that it wasn't Kevin Smith writing Onomatopoeia. Because he is building Onomatopoeia up to a level he doesn't deserve at all.
And he does say at the end, like, you were bait this whole time for Onomatopoeia.
Yeah.
So, the trap is phase 3.
Yeah. At this point, Onomatopoeia shows up and shoots Batman in the head, and it's all bloody and gross.
Wait, that's issue 3.
Issue 3. He just shows up in part 2, and then issue 3, he shoots him in the head.
Immediately.
And Batman just sits there and lets... Joker is, like, slowly getting a piece of glass... slowly walking up to Batman and slowly stabbing in the back, and Batman just lets it happen. And then Onomatopoeia shoots him in the face, and he just lets it happen too.
He says, like Joker stabs him and says, shoot him now! And Batman gets shot in the head.
But that's my point. Yeah. Like, maybe a squib and a bulletproof helmet will be useful, but it's more useful just to
Wait, a squib? Like...
I mean...
like a non-magical person born to magical parents?
Yeah.
That's an offensive term.
Batman's a mudblood. Sorry if I triggered anyone with my comments.
This is the most racist episode of Divisive Issues. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's not, Sly, and you know that's true. That's why Batman is trying to live up to his parents so much, because they were wizards and he's just a fucking squib.
So as we've already revealed, he gets shot with a bulletproof helmet on. But what's extra stupid about it, besides the fact that letting yourself get shot in the head on purpose is one of the stupidest things a human can do. It's like his face isn't covered, so if the bullet hit like his mouth area, he would just die, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he put the Kevlar shielding on all his teeth, too.
Yeah. You catch his mouth, and you spit it out.
He basically is like, I'm going to get shot right here, and then the fake blood is going to come out, and then they'll think I'm dead, but then I'll get up and fight them for real after being shot in the head.
You know, it's ironic that Onomatopoeia shoots so many people right in the head there, because that exact same spot is where his costume literally has a target on.
Yeah. By the way, his costume is literally just a target on his face and a black trench coat. His costume is lame too, on top of him being lame.
Baba Booey.
Yeah, definitely. Baba Booey, Baba Booey.
So then Batman's, by deceiving him, by letting him, Onomatopoeia think he shot him in the head, gets upper hand on Onomatopoeia until Onomatopoeia fucking stabs the Joker in the chest.
Yeah.
And he even says, like, it was worth it getting shot in the head. My head hurts, and I got stabbed in the leg, but it was worth it. I knew I could count on Joker to be Joker.
He could have just not get shot in the head and just
It's almost as smart as like sitting down in an electric chair, dousing yourself in dangerous chemicals and getting struck by lightning, and then when you get third-degree burns on your body, you're like, let's do it again.
Almost as smart, but not quite as smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, not quite.
But yeah, so now Joker is bleeding to death, and Batman has to choose. Let Onomatopoeia run free. This villain that's supposedly more dangerous than the Joker. Let him run free and murder more people, or get the Joker to a hospital. And what does Batman choose?
Even Commissioner Gordon's like, are you a fucking idiot? Let this guy die. And Batman's like, no, all life is sacred.
Yeah, the Joker must live to kill more people in the future.
And it's funny because Batman says, I know what I should do. This is Kevin Smith now saying, here's the message of the book. This is his, like, grand message. I know what I should do. I just can't. And he tells Commissioner Gordon, I can't let other people die. He says, are you crazy? Let him die. And he goes, I can't, Jim. He's a human being. And then, Commissioner Gordon says...
And Jim's like, you didn't even fucking stab him. You just have to not do anything. Like, it's not like you are killing him. And he recaps, like, when he paralyzed Batgirl, when he killed Robin, and he's like, let this fucking asshole die, you dumbass.
One reason why people bitch about, like, Batman not being able to kill Joker is because there's this element of Batman is basically being stubborn or being, like, self-centered by putting his own code above the safety of others. Like, there's a point where Joker running free and kill people is too dangerous to allow. And this story is the next level of that, where you can argue maybe Batman doesn't have it in him to kill a Joker, but now he's actively saving the Joker's life to make sure Joker goes out and kills more people.
Not just saving his life, he's saving him and letting another villain go free. Because I do understand that whole... Batman is set up this way. He's like... The utilitarian argument here would be, well, the best thing to do for society is kill Joker, but he's like, no, things that are wrong are wrong. Like, the whole Kantian argument.
Yeah.
The idea of the comics that if you let one person die, you will kill all the people.
But in general, he's
in this, they don't talk about if I let him die, I'll kill everyone. This argument, even though it's not done well in this book, actually does it the way I prefer it done. Poorly, no, but like when it's not like if I kill him I'll kill everyone. It's the argument of I can't let anyone die because my whole point that I exist is because of senseless murder.
Letting people die is wrong.
All life is sacred. Letting people die is wrong.
What makes I think this whole argument kind of pointless here is not only is he letting a serial killer get away, which is, I would say, also killing people, but he's like, I'm going to let him get away because I need to take Joker to the hospital. No one else can get him medical attention. Only Batman can save this man's life.
And the police are right there. The police show up right away.
You're Batman. You're the world's greatest detective. You can track him, but he's like, no, I'd rather debate this for a couple minutes while someone has a knife in his heart. I'd rather debate it and then personally bring him there, like Phil said. That's just leave the body there. Then it's super not your problem.
And if the police are there, they will say, well, we have to take this guy to the hospital. I mean,
well, you could argue that Batman might be afraid that the police will let him die, which is what
Commissioner Gordon, their boss, did literally say, let this fucking guy die.
Yeah, that's true.
So Batman is like, I can't trust anyone else with the Joker, so I will stay here and let other people die.
I'm going to give him CPR myself.
Yeah.
I just hate this fucking scene. Like, it makes sense with Batman's character, but this is why Batman is kind of an annoying shithead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do understand that that some things are just wrong in general. Like the argument, like, well, it would be good for society if you went back and killed baby Hitler. The utilitarian would say, yeah, that's best for society, but it's wrong to kill a baby who hasn't done anything. But this takes it to he's like trying to push it as far as possible. Like, well, it's wrong to kill someone ever, so even if this guy's going to murder the entire world, it's wrong to kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like whatever. This is really dumb, and I think we've spent enough time telling how dumb it is.
So Batman takes him to the hospital, and a few months later, Joker's still reading Ayn Rand.
He also has this giant fucking pube beard that's really weird
so
and gross.
nasty.
And like he grows green hair on his head, so his hair is green, but his beard is still like black and super puby.
And it's like really curly too, unlike the hair on his head.
Yeah.
And so Joker is reading Ayn Rand, wrapping this whole entire story in a bow, giving us back our central theme of the story. And Batman shows up in disguise, and Joker's like, I can't talk to you while you're in this disguise. Show up as Batman. And then, so Batman puts back his cosplay outfit and becomes Batman again.
Immediately, just goes behind the curtain, pulls it back, and he's Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, Batman. That matters, because Joker's like, by the way, when you were changing, I saw your dick.
My master plan, I get to see your penis.
And I think this line, when they're talking about it, they say, like, Batman's like, do you really want to see me dead? And Joker's like, I don't know, I gotta think about it. Do you want to see me dead? And Batman's like, yeah, but I couldn't watch you die. I've watched people die before. I swore never again. Here's my origin, Joker. Joker's like, I figured it was something like that. But now that I thought about it, I do definitely want to kill you. You're a piece of shit, Batman. I just want to point out that this same scene, Batman's like, you're on so many sedatives. I wanted to talk to you while you were still, like, sane and a human being. And, like, again, it's not how mental health works. If some, like, Vicodin would make the Joker not a fucking serial killer, don't you think Arkham would have given him a Vicodin?
Yeah. And also, I think he drove this idea so much, saying, you are now so clear and sane, I have to talk to you, I have discussions with you. I feel like this is Kevin Smith saying to the audience, guys, this is what Joker really feels. You can't contradict this with the stuff from Killing Joke about Joker's multiple choice thinking, about all his crazy thoughts, about this and that. This is his actual thoughts. You can't contradict this story. This is actual canon. Fuck you all.
I think that is why he included that. So say, like, this is definitively how the Joker feels inside. And he says to him, here's the whole cold hard truth, Bats. I don't hate you because I'm crazy. I'm crazy because I hate you. Dun, dun.
Yeah, like the whole thing, like, Joker's only an asshole because he needs to be Batman's counterpart. And I believe Sly's the one who mentioned the story before, so you tell about the comparison to a better story.
So there's a story called Going Sane by James DeMatteis, where Joker and Batman fight, and Joker believes he kills the Batman. Batman basically gets blown up, and he gets washed ashore on a nearby river, and Joker thinks, oh, he's dead. Now what do I do? And basically he goes perfectly sane, because he realizes the only reason why he was driven to go crazy was because he needed to beat the Batman, and without that in his life, Joker basically settles down, gets a girlfriend, and he becomes like a model citizen until Batman comes back and resurfaces, and Joker feels compelled to go back to his old lifestyle.
And the whole thing is like him debating, like him trying not to lose himself. Like he's actually like I have a life. Like, why is Batman ruining it? And it's really written like Batman is the bad guy here.
Yeah.
And it's just, it shows that relationship so much better than just, I don't hate you because I'm crazy. I'm crazy because I hate you.
And, like, that's the main theme of that story, too. Like, this is tacked on a fucking random, this could be any fucking Joker story where this is tacked on. And this is just exposition delivering this idea.
Yeah.
I'm crazy because I hate you.
The last few pages of this book are them just talking about this.
Most pages of this book are just people talking.
That's true.
And this is what we talked about this a little bit in Guardian Devil, where we said, oh, this is a good idea, but we've seen this in Daredevil already before. And this is a good idea. It's been in Batman before, done better.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, since the story led up to this in this way, I was so I wasn't into this book at all at this point. I didn't care about these guys. So when he was telling them this, it's like, yeah, I guess this, in a different world, in a parallel universe where this comic didn't suck ass, this could have been a good scene.
Yeah.
But he's basically just like, when you're gone, I'll stop hurting people. But for now, I'm going to keep killing people. And Batman's like, I can't watch anyone die. But he just said he's going to keep killing people, and I'm going to let him live.
Well, it's one of those things that I think you could see that Kevin Smith has good ideas, but he needs to be
shoehorned in.
No, that's what I was gonna say, but I meant he needs to be like reined in a little bit. Yeah.
Sigmar Millard, any shithead edgelord needs to be reined in.
Yeah. So then it ends with Batman.
The last line between Joker and Batman is, I saw your junk.
Yeah.
I saw a little bit of your junk when you were getting changed before. And then the next panel is a narration box that says, The Cave. And I'd like to think that was actually, like, you know how sometimes they have the last bit of dialogue from the previous scene? So I'd like to think that he's calling Batman's like butt and junk the cave.
And they continue with this joke, even though they don't say the cave is his butthole, but they do. Alfred does say, I can't say I'm surprised what he said, but it's little wonder that he caught that glimpse, considering you wear your briefs on the outside of your clothes.
I like that Batman felt the need to include that in his recap to Alfred. That was like, yeah, and then he totally scoped my junk.
I know. Like, yeah, I was holding Joker and bleeding in my arms. I went to go see him at the hospital, and he said he hated me. And I don't know why. I don't hate him. I just, I don't want him to die. And he saw my dick.
And like you think it's pretty nice, right, Alfred? You don't call it the cave.
But yeah, the moral of the story is Joker's crazy and Onomatopoeia is now free thanks to Batman, and nothing's resolved, nothing mattered in the story, and everything ends.
Yeah, it ends
with... So the story actually ends with Onomatopoeia going home to his family, because he's like, Batman's like, I don't know anything about this guy. What's his life like when he's alone with his thoughts? Is he honest with himself? Like, what? What kind of questions are you... What? And it's like him with his family, and I will say there is one panel where the artist draws a dog, and it might be the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
That is pretty... It's like a little cow pig.
Oh yeah, there's like a cow pig.
But his like mouth is open really large. Like if you ever seen the Cartoon Network show The Annoying Orange, that looks terrible, but I've only seen commercials for it. It's like its giant mouth just like put on this thing. And then Onomatopoeia basically has like a display with like the cowls and helmets of all of the like nobody characters that he killed. And I'm pretty sure they're all made up.
Kevin Smith made up a bunch of characters and killed them off immediately just to give Onomatopoeia a body count.
Yeah, and Batman's like, does he know there's no place he can hide from me? And he's holding an empty glass case labeled Batman.
He's very ambitious, by the way. He kills a bunch of Z-listers, and now he's like, I'm ready for Batman now. Like
Kevin Smith has imbued me with power. He's like Apocalypse. Kevin Smith is Apocalypse, and he's one of the Horsemen. He just came over and gave him powers.
Yeah.
He actually also does have a bunch of other empty cases, like Green Arrow, and I think he's just making this Batman case and is now like... It's saying like he's going to continue hunting him. I think he. I don't
think
necessarily.
this guy's stupid considering that he was hunting him in the first place. Like he was, like you assume that considering there's no reason for him to be in the story except to go after Batman.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I like how he goes to his wife and goes Baba Booey, Baba Booey,
in bed.
Yeah. Does he talk at all in this?
No. That's before later.
Spoilers.
Kind of.
Yeah.
So that was it. That was the end of that fucking
I
shit.
did not like, I have to say.
So, recap page. Everyone hates this book.
Yeah, recap page. Is it good bad, though?
No.
No.
It's not good at all.
And you would think it would be good bad, because, like, if you pitch this book saying, oh, it's a story where Joker shows his ass and says, fucking me in the ass, and he says to Batman, hey, I saw your junk, you would think that'd be funny, right? But it's not funny.
I actually, like, I am not a Guardian Devil fan, as our previous episode says, but, like, even I had plenty of good stuff to say about that book.
Yeah, the high point of this for me was the last page when I was like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
Were there any actual high points for anybody?
Not for me.
I liked seeing Zaz again, I guess, because he's not used that often.
I actually did have one high point at the beginning when it was kind of misleading, but when most of the first issue focused on Maxie and Joker and Onomatopoeia, I thought this was going to be one of those stories where it was mostly villain-centric and Batman is kind of just like a foil in the background.
It's not that.
And it's not that. So, like, my high point was I like that they set up an actual conflict between three villains and Deadshot, I guess, because like it was Deadshot versus Onomatopoeia, and then Onomatopoeia and the Joker versus Maxie, and like I actually was intrigued a little bit at the beginning when there was, I thought it was going to be more villain-centric, which could have been interesting.
So your high point was when you thought this book wasn't this book.
Yeah. But the high point was when this book misled me into believing it was something else.
The initial premise of the, like, villain taking the drug and turning it into, like, a criminal empire and, like, Joker getting mad and the gang war that would lead from it I thought that was an interesting setup, personally.
I think it could have been, too.
It could have been, but that's not what Kevin Smith wrote. So.
Listen, the whole point of High Point is supposed to be something good, and give me this.
Okay.
I grant it to you.
Okay.
So, do we have letters or anything to do before we
Oh shit!
wrap up?
Yeah, I totally wasn't thinking.
You never
Wait,
think.
that.
yeah, have you ever done that?
Fuck.
Now we have to wait for Ryan to pull up the fucking questions and to fucking waste
Wait
time.
for Ryan to pull up his pants.
Sorry, you could edit this out.
No, we're not. Now it's gonna be in here. We're gonna be fucking waiting.
So Henry asks on Facebook, do you think that there are inherently bad characters, or that they just haven't been used properly yet? And the reason why I think this is relevant is we talked a lot about how onomatopoeia totally sucks and is stupid. Do you think that someone could take this premise without totally reinventing the character and make them a good character and still keep that core? Or do you think that he will just always be a bad character?
I feel very strongly that there are characters that are bad. However, I do think that you can, as a good writer, you can take the shittiest character in the world and do something really interesting with them. But inherently, if the character is very one-dimensional, has no aspirations, no cool gimmick, they're just I could be anyone, that inherently to me is a bad character. Yeah, you could write them and say, well, actually they have this backstory where blah blah blah, and they have this new dream, they want to do this. That's the writer taking a shitty character and dragging it up. But in my opinion, like, a character, if we're going to talk about the inherent goodness or badness of characters, it has to do with what they bring to the table originally. Do you know what I mean?
You know, actually, you totally changed my answer with that. Because we talked a lot about Jeff Johns in the last episode, and one of the big things that he does really well, and what is my favorite thing, is he takes characters that are, like you said, one-dimensional or very blank, and he gives them backstories and origins and motivations, and he turns them into fantastic characters. Like, arguably some of the best characters DC has when they were one-off villains or, you know, just totally nobody characters. And I was gonna bring that up as an example of, yes, every character has potential, so I don't think there's inherently bad characters, only bad writers. But after your answer, I'm going to change it to there are bad characters, and by saving them, you're actually just creating a new character and putting some other character's face on it.
I would say you're recycling a character, in my opinion. You would,
yeah, you're totally reinventing the character because
right. You're taking the concept, maybe like some elements, like a unique costume design, a unique character quirk, and recycling it into you're not starting from scratch. You're recycling a concept and working it into your new concept.
Yeah, because like my example would be Black Adam, who was a one-off Captain Marvel villain who was reinvented by Jerry Ordway and then way more by Jeff Johns. I never read his first appearance, but I hear he just shows up one time and that's it. And then like Jerry Ordway gave him a much more involved, detailed backstory, and I would argue that he created the character with someone else's design.
Yeah, and we can actually, I think you can see that a lot in the past too, not just in comics, but like you look at something like Beowulf, which is really fucking old, but Grendel is kind of a one-dimensional character in that, and he just exists to fight against Beowulf. But then someone wrote a book called Grendel where he takes the character and shows the story from his perspective. Which, yeah, okay, he's using Grendel, but like you guys said, he's basically reinventing him using the setting and some of the actions that character took in the past. But you're kind of doing your own thing with it at that point.
Yeah.
I would have disagreed with you guys, but now that you made your arguments, and also since you brought up onomatopoeia, I think I agree with you more, because onomatopoeia is unsalvageable in the shit film.
But I think the Baba Booey edition would really fix it.
Yeah. But I do think you can recycle any villain to be something interesting, because even though I hate Maxie Zeus, he's probably one of my least favorite villains of all time, there's an interesting interpretation of him in a comic called Arkham Asylum, a serious place on Serious Surf, I think it's called.
Yeah, that's actually going to be my recommendation, spoilers.
Yeah, but in that story, Maxie Zeus is like, basically he got electroshock therapy so much that he could actually project lightning. Like, it's a very abstract concept, but like, it sounds silly, but like, it works because the story is so surreal. It's like a very dreamlike story. So like,
it's taking his concept of being like Zeus and making it so much more literal that he was like, he's now like living lightning kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
He's also only on 2 pages, so like, you know.
That's the best way to use him. Make him only 2 pages long. But yeah.
He is a souvlaki slurper in the end, so.
Yeah. Much like Phil.
Yep.
If you guys have any questions, it's at Divisive Issues on Twitter. it's divisiveissues@gmail.com and the Facebook page. And as always, rate and review us on iTunes. We got some more ratings, and thank you guys so much.
Rate us 1 star or else.
Yeah, it actually goes a lot farther than people think for discovering new
rating
listeners.
Us 1 star,
so that's awesome. Yeah, rating us 1 star does a lot to tell people that we're great. So thanks, guys.
One is for best. First is the worst. Shit.
So 2 stars.
Yeah. And if we think of Harry Chess, 4 to 3 stars.
And also, if you want to write in a pitch for a reinvention of Onomatopoeia or Maxi Zeus, I would absolutely love to read your fanfic. So, recommendations. I'll go first because it was spoiled by myself. I'm going to recommend... I actually have 2 short recommendations. So fuck
one per customer, Ryan. Fuck you.
I'm taking 2. One is Arkham Asylum: Serious House on Serious Earth, and the reason why I recommend that is the art is amazing. It's Dave McKean who did all Sandman covers, and it's written by Grant Morrison. But the main reason why I wanted to recommend it is because that does Maxi Zeus, yeah. But it also does a very sexual Joker way better than this.
Joker slaps Batman's ass and stuff.
And it was supposed to be way more sexual. He was supposed to be a cross-dresser who was much more like sexually attracted to Batman, but they stopped it because Jack Nicholson didn't want people to think he was gay when he played him in the movie, which was about to come out. So they made him tone it down a lot, which is just fascinating to me.
That Jack Nicholson's that insecure?
No, that, and also that he has that much pull.
Cancel that comic. I'm not gay.
Yeah, like what a weird thing. So, and the trade actually has like Grant Morrison's original scripts, and they talk a lot about his initial ideas and stuff. And I would definitely recommend seeing his whole process that went into that book because it's fascinating.
I would recommend that story too. It's one of my favorite Grant Morrison stories as well.
Yeah, definitely. And second, just really quick, if you want to watch a much better interpretation of the Batman Joker and the why Batman can't kill the Joker and why that can be a load of bullshit, watch the Under the Red Hood movie. Because the book is also great, but the movie is super accessible and cuts out all like the comics LOL stuff and is one of my favorite Batman things. So everyone should watch that movie.
Cool.
So who wants to go next?
I'll go next because I already gave mine basically. Batman Going Sane by written by Jim DeMatteis, and the artist is Joe Staton. Joe Staton and Steve Mitchell. So those guys create a very good story, and it not only does it tell a good story of Joker going sane really well, but also has contrast to Batman, because while Joker is going sane, Batman, in this fight against Joker, is slowly losing his mind too, and in the story he has to rediscover like what was keeping him driven this entire time. So it's like a very nuanced view on both characters. Like the story is actually about their relationship and stuff, and not just having it tacked on at the end like this story.
If you're a DeMatteis fan, you know how fucking flawlessly he does these like introspective, nuanced character stories.
Yeah,
he's the best.
I agree.
Sounds interesting. So for my non-comic recommendation, I was focusing a lot more on the one thing this book tried to do, which was the whole argument of
the Greek racism.
Yeah, the Greek racism. So watch My Big Fat Greek Wedding. No, on the whole theme of like, is it okay to kill killers? Type that whole thing. I would recommend the anime Death Note if you want to see the idea of basically the premise of this show is that this kid finds a book where he can kill anyone he wants by writing their name in it. And right from the beginning, he says, "Well, I'm gonna fix the world, and I'm gonna kill killers. I'm gonna kill criminals." And it actually does have this kind of like the antagonist is like a Batman type character who's trying to find him, but the show grapples with that idea of is the utilitarian argument better than the like Kantian argument of killing is wrong, or is it okay to kill people to make a better world? And that show does that idea like a million times better than this comic does.
Yeah, I'm not a big anime watcher. I've only watched a few, but Death Note is one of my favorite animes of all time.
It's really good.
That's awesome.
So, that's our episode.
Yep.
That's it. So, for Divisive Issues, I've been Ryan.
I've been Sly.
And I'm still Phil.
Thanks for listening. Stay in continuity.